It's healing time. Welcome back to another episode of Healing, Empowering, Accepting, and Living, a burns and trauma recovery podcast sponsored by Change by Fire. My name is Lori Janik, and I am a 15-year burn advocate, social worker, and current holistic trauma therapist.
And my name is Jen Severance, and I am a burn survivor, giving the burn survivor's perspective on our topics.
And you're far more than that, too.
And I'm far more than that, but we don't have time to get into all of that, do we? Well, we could, but this would
That's
take
for
way
another
too long. It's
episode.
for another episode. Speaking of episodes, last episode we've been talking about identity,
Mm-hmm.
finding our identity, exploring, looking in the mirror, and seeing ourselves after an injury,
Mm-hmm.
how our mirror responses are affected, preparation towards safely looking into the mirror and working towards acceptance of reality and self, and rebuilding a sense of safety in ourselves and our body post-injury. How have you integrated any mirror practices in your daily routine? What have you been noticing surrounding that? Have you shared this invaluable information with others in your healing and recovery world? We would love to hear about it. This fourth episode of our season on finding identity is going to delve into that perception of change around an injury.
Mm.
Are you ready to explore your healing happenings? Let's get healing.
So, suffering a burn and trauma injury is a life altering experience for
Yes, it
most.
is.
How you view, how you perceive yourself, your routines, the ways in which you live in this world, and even the places and people around you often significantly change.
Yep.
Not only are your physical routines altered, your normal daily activities, your engagement in school and work, it all takes a back burner for that healing work. And often emotionally, your overall affect of safety and stability take a hit too. Because think about it, we're human beings. We really like to be in control
Heck yeah.
of what happens to us and how things go.
Mm-hmm.
And how much control do you have once an injury happens? You enter the hospital doors and or you start taking care of the recovery work to heal that wound.
Yeah. It's
So
total uprooting of all of any routines that you have in place. Just, it's,
which sends us into your danger zone. So then
yeah.
you go sympathetic, your dorsal. What are you going to do? I'm going to fight, flight, or freeze.
Yep. Yep. Typically, your physical wounds and healing course can have a pretty solid trajectory and plan. Um, Daily dressing changes, physical and occupational therapies, stretching and mobility work, surgeries, your
Mm.
daily skincare routine is usually completely changed to support your healing and protection. And everyone's physical healing path varies.
Mm-hmm.
We're all different.
Mm-hmm.
But there often is a sense of discussion and clarity surrounding the steps to take, the options, and the knowledge of the movement going forward. And
There's more of a knowing with the physical.
right. Oh, yeah, for sure. And this can be a huge asset to a sense of reconnection back to the self, to yourself and your body, and the surface level identity of self and routines. And knowledge can indeed be an asset in understanding our sense of self and
Yeah.
identity.
Knowledge really just oftentimes helps us get a better grasp of safety
Oh, yeah.
in ourselves and what's going on. So
Mhm.
definitely with that physical awareness of at least what some of the plans might be and how things may go,
Yep.
that's a grounding place. But then when we look at, socially and emotionally and, hey, sometimes spiritually as well too,
Mhm.
there can be that bigger sense of struggle after an injury.
Yeah.
So, the social emotional impacts of burn and trauma injuries can really affect people in so many ways. And we're talking about both the burn survivor themselves, as well as those who care for them, their family members, those who take care of them. So, those in the healing field that support their recovery. And these are things that are not always aware to those outside eyes, to our eyes. These are things that can linger because they're not things we can really see. And as part of our body's protection and wiring, again, our autonomic nervous system, it's kind of like that inner surveillance system that responds to perceived danger in the world.
Mhm.
It moves us into those different danger states when an injury happens. So again, we can go to that fight or flight where there's that anxiety, that fear, what's going to happen, anger over how things have happened, fears around scarring, changes, differences, lack of control. And when it gets to that place of, I just can't do this, then we go into that state of shock, disbelief, disconnection, separation from. And that really can affect how we respond to our healing, our level of compliance in
Mm.
our tasks of healing,
Yes.
how we see and perceive ourselves, and how we respond to, staff, to others, to family, to those around us. So, a burn injury, a trauma experience can affect such a sense of internal change, again, not always seen by those around us and or recognized by ourselves. But that internal change can make us feel helpless, sad, angry, in a state of despair, afraid, that can really affect our coping and our belief in our own ability to heal. It's kind of for many people that loss of self, again, that disconnection from who and how we are, and
Yeah.
then that separation from that belief in you affects your trajectory.
Sure, absolutely. It's sort of stops you in your tracks. It's jarring almost the change that you have to go through, and we were just talking about the change in your routine. Like
Mhm.
there is an upheaval that happens when we go through this, and a lot of that is internal. I mean,
Mhm.
a lot, obviously, there's a huge amount of physical stuff that we have to go through as burn survivors, but just like in most aspects of life, a lot of what we're experiencing is inside.
And who all and how much is focused on that insight. That's why we have
Yes.
things like podcasts.
Yes, exactly. Emotional and social well-being are such a huge aspect of our life. And one of our key needs of our system is connection, right?
Mhm.
And we are wired as humans to protect ourselves at all costs. Hence our nervous system responses that we've
Mhm.
talked about in this episode, episodes previous. But we also have a deep longing to connect in life, internally and externally, both. And
Mhm.
with the disconnection that happens with burns and trauma to our body from our logical sense of self at times and in our relationships,
Mhm.
disruptions there, there is a change that can be affected and needed to move us back toward connection, which in turn motivates our functionality, our participation in life,
Mhm.
and in our healing as well.
Mhm. Connection is such a huge thing as a part of the human experience. Really,
Yes.
from prior to birth and beyond. And a burn and trauma injury really affects that sense of connection with ourself, with others in the world. And
Yep.
what and everyone I think responds to that in a different way. I know, Jen, for you, what are some of the ways that you noticed you responded to your injury? Like how did it affect you, emotionally, socially, maybe even spiritually?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like a lot of my change was pretty positive.
Mm,
I think because I was in a time of life where I was able to look at it as while it was physically devastating, that I didn't have to make it such a huge deal. And
mm,
so for me, I really wanted to share that with others. I wanted to let people know that this could be a positive thing going forward. We don't have to look at it in a negative way. And so for me, I feel like it really brought out sort of like the advocacy part of
mm,
myself, the helping others, specifically like in that spiritual realm of being able to look at yourself not as what do I physically look like compared to everyone else on the planet, but who am I on the inside compared to
Mm.
everybody else? And not even comparing to other people, like just really honoring who we are as people on the inside. I think that's what mostly came out of my injury was that feeling of wanting to help other people look at it in a way that wasn't just this horrible negative thing that happened to them.
Well, and I think for you, I mean, like, you are correct in that is that everyone's experience or to their injury. No, a lot of people, it's like, this is awful. This
Mm,
is horrible. I can't do this. I don't want to do
yeah.
this. There's a disconnect. They can't emotionally, socially handle. They may or may not have resources or people that
Mhm.
support. And you are in enough of a place of awareness and, I dare say, an injury as an adult.
Yeah,
And as an
mhm.
adult with some sense of stability in your life, you're going to interpret differently than an injury as a child or an injury as an adult or a child that has a lot of other chaos going on in their lives
Yeah.
that may take in a lot more danger. So you were able to take it in with enough of a sense of awareness that you were able to see multiple sides of how you
Yes.
handle and how you were able to use it as a place of empowerment. I'm
Yep.
going to dig deeper into, what makes me here and
Yes.
really advocate and share a sense of connection with seeing yourself as more than just that surface level you. That was your reconnection space.
Absolutely. Yep.
Mm.
Mhm.
Emotional and social and spiritual changes, especially after big life changes and incidents, are such a normal and valid happening,
Yep.
an important factor of our healing journey that we really need to look at. Yes, an injury affects how you see yourself, how you function, how you operate in relationships, how you see yourself in the world. Hence, there's such a value of reconnecting to you on the inside and on the outside. We talked about mirror work last time. We're talking about a little bit of inner work this time, that emotional, that social, that spiritual. A burn and trauma injury can not only shift and disconnect you from yourself and the world, but the healing part, it gives you an opportunity, like you mentioned, Jen. It gives you
Yeah.
an opportunity to reconnect, to rediscover, to explore and build you. It can be an opportunity for
Absolutely.
change here.
Mhm.
So, again, some ideas on, well, then how do I reconnect with me?
Mhm.
How do I figure out that inner sense of identity if I don't know, if I haven't had that before, what might be some tools or some ideas to help me with that?
Sure.
Again, part of why we had podcasts. This is why we're here today to give you some insights into that. So, one aspect of reconnecting with that inner you, kind of working on that emotional, social, spiritual, getting connected with others in the healing journey. Now, that can look like a variety of ways. That can be
Mhm.
connecting and talking with your healthcare team in the hospital. What are my options? Different care and healing. That can be joining a support group,
Mhm.
having a peer mentor, a SOAR peer mentor. I know the Phoenix Society has an
Yep.
amazing program that really empowers a lot of emotional, social connection and healing there. And it really gives you a sense of encouragement and solidarity in your experience.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's actually how Lori and I met was a burn peer group,
Mhm.
which I found super instrumental. All of you out there, if you haven't found a local burn support group, I highly recommend it.
Mhm.
You're surrounded by other burn survivors, even if it's just like, how long am I going to be itchy? What kind of lotion do you use? What do you think about compression garments? So helpful. So I give that 2 thumbs up. And educating yourself and those around you about your injuries and your responses to healing, super important. So going further than just like the support groups and your experiences in the hospital and your healthcare team outside, and even going forward, I'm many years out, and I've seen psychologists coming out. I did some EMDR. Is that the right
Mhm.
EMDR? Yeah, the
EMDR.
acid, right? Yeah, I did that to overcome some fears surrounding my burns in the early stages. Hypnotherapy. But educate yourself on all of the things that you can do. Even being here and listening to this podcast is helping yourself towards
Mhm.
healing. Yeah.
Mhm. So true, so true. So we have staying connected, educating yourself. Then there's also the What am I doing to take care of me? So,
Yep.
practicing and building in some good self care habits is such a huge
Yes.
aspect of life as a human being in this world, as well as reconnecting with yourself post injury. And self care, I mean, we're talking about a lot of self compassion here. That is something that those who know me, this is something I speak on often in life. Self compassion, being kind to you, thought, word, and action, is really a key to facing and building a sense of identity amidst any life difficulties. And that can look like making time for you in even the simplest of ways. I'm going to allow myself to take a nap here. I'm going to allow myself to sleep, an extra hour because I'm really super tired and all of my therapy work took forever the day before.
Mhm.
I'm going to allow myself to nourish my body, to provide myself with what I need to give myself the energy, the support to make it through my bandage change, my dressing change, my work ahead. I'm going to allow myself to move, to find ways to move that make me feel more settled and okay in my body and what and how I can operate now. I'm going to do things that bring me a little piece of joy, bring me a little piece of calm. Things maybe like journaling, being in the water, doing any type of energy or breath work or a visualization, all great ways to really take care of and build a sense of care back for you.
Yes. And build in realistic hopes for self and practice patience in
Mhm.
recovery. Identify where you want to go, where you want to get in your healing, and celebrate movement on the way. Like you said, documenting your journey for yourself
Mhm.
and recognize that the process is not linear, ups and downs, and steps back and steps forward,
Mhm.
but be there. Just be present for it, and you'll get there.
I love that idea of being present as well as being real.
Mm.
Now, being real is super important. I mean, like being realistic of, how big or small you make your goals and
Ah,
celebrating the steps along the
yes.
way. And finding ways to express yourself creatively and notice the affect. So, creative expression actually uses more of our right brain response. So, again, we're working to using and reconnecting with our whole self, and our right brain and creative expression really interconnects with our sense of safety
Mm.
and our sense of calm. It moves us towards healing and that embodiment, that getting and feeling safe in our bodies again. So, finding ways of creative expression that fit you, your particular personality, and your needs can be really great ways to engage in your healing journey. I'm going to ask if we have any, colored pencils, any paper, or if we have any canvas or paint opportunities. Can I create any piece of music? Do I want to make some lyrics to document my journey, what I'm doing? What is your access to art, music, therapy opportunities in your healing?
Hmm. That's nice.
Mm,
And you can seek professional support as needed. At times, our needs for assistance in finding a sense of safety and calm post injury um, can be, overwhelming and difficult
mhm,
to conquer on our own.
mhm,
So there is a value in noticing and recognizing your capacity, and asking for help to support your healing journey. That is okay. And there
mhm,
are a variety of professionals out there to address, and to support your healing journey, um, and your needs around personality and beliefs. I mean, you can speak on all of this, the somatic, body work, the types of therapists, psychologists, energy workers. You can find the help that fits you and what you're comfortable with and how you want to move forward in your journey.
And even that process, that's such an identity piece is,
Hmm.
what am I needing and what type of support would best fit my need? And there's no right or wrong, good or
Nope.
bad. It's really the fit for you. And I love that there are so many avenues and ways of addressing that. So many different types of professional. And again, even with that, there's
Yes.
no one that's more
Oh,
valued
yeah.
than the other. It's finding your
Absolutely,
fit.
and you might
You know?
try one form of therapy or help that you go, "Ooh, this doesn't sit right with me," for whatever reason. Just find what feels comfortable for you.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
So, yes, there might be some changes in burn and trauma and an injury that could affect you, but do these changes have to make you any better or worse of a person or with any better or worse sense of self? Short answer no.
New.
The changes around an injury actually often require us to dig deeper into really learning and understanding ourselves, our patterns, our movement in this life. And they can clue us into things that we didn't know about or see before. They can allow us to face and find out ways to really build a greater sense of safety in ourself and in life, to take a deeper look at ourselves, our patterns, our relationships, and determine, where do I want to go? How do I want to move in this life? Do I want to move towards more connection with myself, with others, with this world? Or do I want to live in more of a protected place? And many individuals post injury can kind of get stuck in that protective living where
Mm.
their limitations, their fears, they place a halt on any movement towards healing and in life. And that can really offset your sense of identity, your place in this world. And so we really encourage moving towards connection, willingly looking at yourself, your patterns, your relationships, and exploring maybe a sense of refitting around your needs, around your desires, around, what builds you. That's what moves you out of stuckness back into a sense of wholeness in life.
Stuckness. I like it.
Stuckness to wholeness.
Stuckness. Stuckness to wholeness.
And there's an aim. That is really our aim, I think, in this podcast and throughout this whole series is really supporting, empowering you to move towards that sense of wholeness, that sense of identity, that sense of embodiment. And where does that lead us to? Our
Our
takeaway for
takeaway.
today.
Woohoo!
So today we're going to explore one of my favorite aspects because it involves a little bit of creativity
Ooh.
as well as a little bit of like physical action here. We're going to make a connection continuum. So we're going to create a pathway for a movement towards connection and healing. So here's what you're going to need for this. Nothing super fancy, and you can do it in your head if you don't have access to the materials. So a paper and a pencil or some type of writing implement. Nothing super huge. I'm going to have you create a line. And on this line, on this paper, or if you create an imaginary line in your head, you're going to label one end protection and you're going to label the other end connection. And however this line looks like for you, see, so thinking of how you travel from a protected place and way of sitting, seeing, and viewing the world to a place of connection where you engage and you respond and you meet in the world. Now, maybe this line looks straight. Maybe this line is all sorts of curvy to get there. However, it looks for you. And I want you to know, okay, where's about the middle of that line where I'm kind of on the fence, just about ready to take that step and start engaging? And just make a note of where that is. For some people, their midpoint is closer to protection and they have a lot longer to get to connection. And for others, it's closer to connection. And I want you to take a moment and just travel your line from protection to connection and notice what happens as I move. So for me, here's my protection, here's my connection. My line's kind of a little bit swirly here. It's a
Mhm.
little bit of a distance. So I start out protected and I am guarded. And then I move to more of like a buffered state.
Mhm.
And then I start taking off a little piece of armor here, a little piece of armor here, making myself a little bit vulnerable, but I'm still like back.
Mhm.
And then I get a little closer to that fence. And then I start fence sitting and observing and watching what's going on with myself, with others. I start taking a step forward. And then I make an attempt to engage, to initiate. And I notice a little bit of reciprocity. I take another step forward. I notice cues, and then I engage. Throughout that connection line from protection to connection, what I noticed, my tone shifted.
Mm.
My presence, how close, how far away, changed. How I felt on the inside, I softened. I went from a state of tension to more of a state of relax. Even like my organs functioning, and I've worked on my awareness for a while, so I'm probably a little bit
Mm.
more internally aware than others. But I notice when I travel, even just in my mind and my body space from protection to connection,
Mhm.
I notice the shift. And I can travel backwards and notice that shift as well and see myself almost guarding up. By simply mentally imagining this and walking yourself from protection to connection or connection to protection, by traveling your own pathways, you can build a sense of reconnection with you
Mm.
and a sense of engagement with how you see and partake in this world and others and yourself. It's also a great way in creatively expressing it to notice what your pathway looks like, to travel it, and to share with, again, per your vulnerability allowance, others so they get and understand a piece of how you work and how you connect as well.
Hmm. That's nice.
It's a really cool way of demonstrating kind of your inner workings
Mhm.
and noticing and validating to yourself how your responses change when you're more protected and in that fear or danger space
Mhm.
to when you're more connected. Also, notice the lack of judgment, lack of comparison, lack of criticism there. Such a valuable practice of exploration, again, rebuilding that identity of connection with you. So, have a try, have a go at that. We'd love to hear about it.
Cool.
Change by Fire is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit, and we really aim to support the burn community. We're talking about burn survivors, family members, and the community that surrounds them, and creating a greater space of connection and healing using a variety of alternative healing modalities. So, we're talking about hypnotherapy, scar massage, pressure garments, equine therapy, yoga, and so much more. We really want to support people in their walk, especially post injury when there is that emotional, social, spiritual, all that impact,
Mhm.
needing additional support. If this sounds like an interest or a fit for you in terms of any of these services, please reach out to us for further information. That's www.changebyfire.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and our podcasts are on YouTube too.
YouTube.
So we love to support burn survivors, loved ones, and burn healers in this great recovery work. We also do events in the local Phoenix metro area in Arizona. So we have our Equine Wellness Day in November. We have our first backyard concert fundraiser for our programs in October. And if you ever want to be on a podcast and share your story, and this goes for anyone in the burn community, please reach out. This work requires a village, and
Mhm.
you are a part of it and us.
Yay. So until next time, heal. Have thoughts about where you are in your own identity work. Evaluate your needs for additional resources and understanding and reconnecting with yourself. Allow opportunities to find and move toward connection, and let yourself experience you as you are. You are seen, valued, and needed in this world. We will see
Mm.
you on our next episode. Take care.
See you all soon.